Okay, so now that we know the derivative of e to the power of u is e to the u times the derivative of the exponent u prime, let's look at it some more complex situation. So in this problem, the y is equal to e to the power of 8x plus 5x squared minus 7. They want the derivative of y with respect to x. So I'm going to write it underneath it. What's the derivative of e to the power of 8x? So in e to the power of 8x, this is an example of an exponential function because the base is a letter or a number in this case, the 2.7, 1, whatever, and then the exponent has a letter. So in this case, the derivative of e to 8x is itself e to the 8x times, we need to find the derivative of the exponent. So what's the derivative of 8x? We write that over here next. That's going to be 8. Okay, so for e to the 8x, we get e to the 8x times 8. Now, what about the derivative of 5x squared, right? So the derivative of 5x squared, this is literally what we have been doing so far in the whole semester together. So it's just going to be 5 times the derivative of x squared, which is going to be 2x. Then finally, the derivative of 7, which is going to be 0. So there it is. And so now let's clean it up a little bit and write down a final answer that looks pretty. So 8 e to the power of 8x, and then 5 times 2 is going to be 10x, and then the 0 does not count, okay? So that's the solution to the problem. That's the derivative. Okay, let's keep going and go to part 3, which is y equal to x cubed plus e to the 3x plus a to the power 4. So let me write it down over here. Y equals x cubed plus e to the 3x plus 8 to the power of 4. So I'm looking for the derivative, so let me do it underneath. So the derivative of x cubed is going to be first. So the derivative of x cubed is going to be 3x squared. That one is not an exponential. That's what we call a regular polynomial because it has a base that is a letter and the power is a number. Now, the next one is e to the 3x, which is what we call in math an exponential function. Okay, so this is an exponential function because the base is technically a number. I know that you see a letter e, but e, remember, is 2.7, so it's kind of a number. And the derivative of that is going to be itself. So just copy the problem down. And when you're finished, multiply by the derivative of the exponent. So what's the derivative of 3x? Go ahead and write it next. That's going to be 3. And then finally, the last number is 8 to the power of 4. Now, that last one is kind of a tricky one. A lot of people will confuse it and think of it as an exponential function, but this one is not an exponential function. Why is it not an exponential function? Because both the base and the power are numbers. There's no variable in this case. So this is just 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 4 times, which is literally 0. Okay, so since the derivative of a number is 0, then we end up with the final answer. That's the final answer. Let me just clean it up a little bit and make it look pretty. So this is going to be 3x squared plus 3 e to the power of 3x. And that's the solution of this question. So that's it.